This video has some examples of how to subtract fractions. So here's the first one. 8 5/6 minus 2 1/4. Well, I'm going to try and make the denominators the same there so that I can subtract them. So at the moment the denominators are 6 and 4, so it's a fraction out of 6 and a fraction out of 4. I'd like those to be the same. So I've multiplied the first fraction by 2 over 2 and the second fraction by 3 over 3 in order to make them both fractions out of 12. So 8 5/6 minus 2 1/4 is the same as 8 10/12 minus 2 3/12. So I've done that because 6 and 4 both go into 12, so I can make the denominators out of 12 instead of two different numbers. If I can't spot that the lowest common multiple of 6 and 4 is 12, I could just multiply 6 by 4 and get 24 and make them both fractions out of 24 instead, and that would work. Okay, so now I've got a mixed number minus another mixed number, whole number and a fraction minus whole number and another fraction, and I'm going to split those up. So I'm going to split those up into the 8 minus the 2 and the 10/12 minus the 3/12. Now people often ask me why there's suddenly a plus in the middle of that when it's a minus calculation. But if you think about it, 8 and 10/12 has an invisible plus in the middle of it because it's 8 plus 10/12, 8 and 10/12. So it's not just come out of nowhere. It does make sense that there's a plus there. So anyway, 8 minus 2 and 10/12 minus 3/12 gives you 8 minus 2 is 6 and 10/12 minus 3/12 is 7/12. So bottom number's the same and just subtract the tops. And 6 and 7/12 is 6 and 7/12. Okay, example 2. And example 2 is a bit tricky. So I've got 9 1/4 minus 6 3/4. Now the reason that is tricky is because the first fraction bit is a quarter and the second fraction bit is a bigger fraction, 3/4. So I'm trying to do a small thing, take away a bigger thing. So that's my problem. A quarter is smaller than 3/4, and how can I take away a bigger thing from a smaller thing? So what I'm going to do to solve that is to turn 9 1/4 into 8 5/4. So I've taken 1 out of the 9 and turned it into 4/4 instead, so that 9 1/4 is the same as 8 5/4. So 9 1/4 minus 6 3/4 is the same as 8 5/4 minus 6 3/4. Well, why have I done that? The reason is to get a bigger fraction now minus a smaller fraction. So the first fraction, 5/4, is bigger than 3/4. Having done that, I can just do what I did before, which was to split it into the numbers and the fractions. So the 8 minus the 6, and then the 5/4 minus the 3/4. 8 minus 6 is 2, and 5/4 minus 3/4 gives you 2/4. Remember, just take away on the top, leave the bottom as it is. So that's 2 2/4. 2/4, that can be simplified a bit, divide by 2 over 2, and that's the same as 2 1/2. On to question 3, which is trickier still. I've got 11 1/6 minus 2 3/4. So first of all, I'm going to try and make the denominators the same. So 6 and 4 both go into 12, for example, so I can make a 1/6 into something out of 12 by doing 2 over 2, and I can make 3/4 into something out of 12 by multiplying by 3 over 3. So that's the same as 11 2/12 minus 2 9/12. Again, if I didn't spot that 12 was the lowest common denominator, I could have just done 6 times 4 is 24 and made them both fractions out of 24. But as it is, I've got 11 and 2 twelfths minus 2 and 9 twelfths, and I've got a problem there because I've got small fraction minus big fraction. So what I'm going to do is take 1 out of the 11 and turn it into 12 twelfths. So 11 is the same as 10 and 12 twelfths. So 11 and 2 twelfths is the same as 10 and 14 twelfths, because I've turned a 1 from the 11 into 12 twelfths. There was already 2 twelfths there, so in all that makes 14 twelfths. So I've got 10 and 14 twelfths minus 2 and 9 twelfths. Again, I'm splitting that up into number minus number, 10 minus 2, and fraction minus fraction, 14 twelfths minus 9 twelfths. So that makes it 10 minus 2 is 8, 14 twelfths minus 9 twelfths is 5 twelfths. Remember, just subtract the tops. So that's 8 and 5 twelfths, which is 8 and 5 twelfths.